Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first webinar for TopSolid's newest version, 7.16. I see people are still logging in, so I'm just going to give it about, 20 seconds, 30 seconds before we get kicked off here. This first webinar is going to be focused on what's new in with regards to the user interface, as well as what's new with regards to the PDM platform itself. So again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bill Gens. I'm the Sales and Technical Director here at TopSolid USA. I'm joined by Joe Hart, our Technical Manager, and Mike Kay, our Sales Manager. Both will be available in the questions area. So if you have any questions during this webinar, type them in there and they will try their best to answer them. If they can't answer them, they will direct them to me and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. Okie doke. So let's just let's get going. So as I said, this is the first webinar for the What's New series. We're going to be doing 16 webinars in total this week, 4 a day for the rest of the week. This first one is focusing on the user interface and the PDM. So let's dig in, shall we? So with regards to the TopSolid user interface, we've made a couple of small improvements this year. The first one has to do with the dynamic selection filter. We've added this dynamic selection filter in the extruded bar command, in the provided function command, and the material encoding command, both in the part document and in the assembly document. And I figure the best way to show you how this works is to just do it live. So let's go into here, go to our user interface here, and we'll open up a little file. And to begin with, I'm going to go into modeling here. Minimize this. Go into modeling. I'm going to go into my extruded bar, for example. And if I click in here, you'll notice now this is highlighted, so I can just start typing a little bit of what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for hollow, circular, perfect. That's the one I want. Choose the size, of course, that you want. Choose where you want to put it. Perfect. Done. Same thing can be said if you go into material encoding. So I can go to here, I can choose a category, and again, you have your drop-down menu, but you can just start typing. For example, I can type AL for aluminum, right? Or you don't have to start with the first letters of the word. You can do something in the middle there or at the end. So if I type 1050, for example, you can see now it's just filtering out to those two types of materials. Okay? So that's that. Let's get out of that. We'll come on back to here. Let's move on to the next one. There was a lot of requests out there to make the color of the compass consistent with other softwares. So we did it. Your x-axis is now red, your z-axis is now blue, your y-axis is now green. If you don't like these, you can go to the entities tree and you can manage this yourself and set it to whatever you want it to be. Okay? Another little improvement is in regards to inside the operations tree. We've now added the type, name, and expression and designation of a named parameter. And it is displayed in the definition node. So what does that mean? Again, if I go into TopSolid and I go into here, come into here, you have to make sure you have the definition ticked up here. And then this way you will see that name parameter right in here. Okay? Before you had to go into the entities tree to go look at your name parameters, but now this way you know this name parameter is used in this feature. All right. The other little improvement that was done in the interface has to do with manufacturing features. Okay. So manufacturing features are just a way in the design level to identify machinable features. So drillings, for example. These machinable features can be displayed, turned on and off, like so. That's not the improvement. The improvement is there used to be an arrow on them, and you can see when I hover on it, the arrow shows up. We basically just got rid of the arrow because it saves on performance. That's it. Okay? So we can go back to here. Next, we made a slight modification to the system colors. So again, this is controlled in your tools options. As you can see here, we made some changes here to the colors. just so that the selection colors have more contrast between them. We had a few customers report that it was hard to tell the difference between these. Maybe they didn't realize they could change them themselves. So the out-of-the-box experience is a little bit better now, so that you can tell you selected this object, then this object. Okay, and again, these are always controllable. You go into your tools, pull-down menu, options, colors, system colors, and you can modify these as you wish. Okay, so the next object to talk about is the upgrade command. Now, some of you may be aware of the upgrade command, some of you may not. All right, so the upgrade command exists. It has existed since the beginning of TopSolid 7. It was originally located and is still located in the 7 icon in the top left corner of your screen. You would use this command to upgrade that document to the latest version of software. So for example, when you go from 7.15 to 7.16, if you want to take advantage of the new functionality in 7.16, you may need to upgrade that document to 7.16 to take full advantage of these changes. So you would go to the 7 icon and you hit upgrade, it would upgrade the entire document at once. What the improvement is now you can control this a little bit better. Instead of upgrading the entire document at once, you can upgrade portions of the document. Because maybe you want to control the upgrade just to get a feeling for how things happen. Okay, so you can now do this with multi-selection in the operations tree. Perfect. Finally, the last enhancement to talk about, and this is just the beginning of a bigger topic, is there is a new way of managing licenses available. Okay, it is to use what we call a cloud license server. With cloud license servers, you can use an email address and a password to log on to a cloud license server to grab an available license. Okay, if you don't have your own network and you don't want to manage the network licenses yourself, you can use the cloud licensing server instead. A special note about this is only for licensing. This does not manage PDM or PDM data. Okay, so that still needs to be managed by you today. Cool. All right, so now we're going to move along here to the PDM portion of what's new. I should point out that these webinars are designed to be 30 minutes to an hour long. It depends on the topics that we're going through. So this first one is going to be, I'd say, probably 30 minutes total. So let's get into PDM now. So a couple of, I think, really, really nice improvements on the PDM. First, it is now possible for you to go into your Projects Explorer and export multiple packages at the same time. Okay? All you do, you go into your Projects Explorer. Here, I'll show you. So again, why not? I go to my Projects Explorer. I can come into here, go to my, I don't know, we'll go to What's New. I can select these things, right-click, and you can see Export Packages shows up there. When I choose Export Packages, it's going to create for me as many packages as I had projects selected to export. Okay? So it's just a significantly faster way of exporting a lot of data out of TopSolid. Next, and this is a new feature. All right, so we have a new type of export available called Export for Delivery. So when you export for delivery, again, it's just an option once you select the package, and you can tick off Export for Delivery here. The whole idea here is this. Let's say that you're a TopSolid user, which clearly you are because you're here, and you are wanting to export a package to another company that's also using TopSolid. But you want to block them from being able to modify your TopSolid data. They only are allowed to reference it. So you export for delivery this package. Then when they open it, they can see your data, they can open the data, they can reference the data, they can build new data off of that data, but they cannot modify it. So it's just a way to stay in control of your data. Okay? All right, here we go. Next, we built a new little application to help figure out issues, okay? So it's called TopSolid Diagnostics. It is located in your program file, TopSolid Diagnostic bin application folder, as you can see up here. It is called TopSolid.diagnostics. It's a little executable. Our support teams may ask you to run this and send us the results. Basically what it does is it does what we would manually check before, it does automatically. So it's going to check your computer, it's going to check how much hard drive space you have, it's going to check your antivirus, is it a supported antivirus? It's going to run a system check to make sure everything's up to date the way it's supposed to be. It checks your PDM server status and so on. Okay, and then it builds a little report. You can export that report, send it to support, and we can help guide you through whatever resolution is needed to get you back up and running. Again, this is just a commitment to help speed up the answers on some of the more challenging technical questions that can arise in a PDM environment. Next, this one may make all of you out there that manage PDMs for multiple user installations happy. So this allows an administrator to log in and connect as another user. Why? Maybe that other user is out sick. They forgot to check in a bunch of stuff. So the administrator doesn't know that user's password, so they can't log in and check that data in for people. So now the administrator can go into here, use connect as, and then go and check in all the data that user had checked out. Okay, it's just a way to help, again, all of our users out there that are in the multi-user world to get data back into the checked-in state as effortlessly as possible. Again, this is typically for when there's a user out on vacation or out sick or something, and we just need to gain access to that data. Okay, next. We made a minor little improvement when dealing with external documents inside the TopSolid PDM. For example, well, here, let's just go look. It's easier. Close this file. We'll go into our TopSolid PDM. All right, so in here, I just have a simple text file. Okay, I'm going to start by checking this out. So this is a external document, and what I mean by external document, it's a non-TopSolid document. It could be a Word file, an Excel file, a video, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just a non-TopSolid file that you have chosen to manage within the TopSolid PDM. So I'm checking that out so I can modify it. I double click on it. Here's my little text file for what's new 716. We'll write a little something in here. Today is a good day to buy more TopSolid. Why not? And we'll say yes, PS. That was a hint. Lovely. Now, joking aside, I made my change here. You'll notice the little floppy disk there, right? In years past, even if you hit save here, it didn't actually save it here. But if you notice now, it does. Like I said, it's a little improvement, but it's a good functional one. So if I make another change here, today is Tuesday, right? And we save again, boom, it stays saved. That's it. That's the little change. And again, you can check in those changes, you can undo the changes, you can roll back in time with the changes. All the PDM function that you're used to still exists. All right, let's keep going. All right, so again, this is for administrators. Managing TopSolid PDM can now be done as an admin directly in the TopSolid PDM Explorer. So in the PDM Explorer software, we've added the user group, security, mail server, history, default export path, and so on into the PDM tab in the top left corner there, so that an administrator can come in and administer or manage all of these items. It means that they no longer have to have access to a full installation of TopSolid just to manage the PDM information. Okay? So again, a very nice functional improvement for our administrators out there. All right, next, you have on-the-fly referencing and displaying of updates. So for all of us that are familiar with referencing, this will be a nice feature for you. So let's say that you're building an assembly, all right? And you want to go and add a standard component like a screw. You're going to drag and drop that screw in only to get a message saying it's not possible to do because that library is not referenced. You have to stop, you have to go back, you have to reference the library, then you have to go back, get your screw and continue. The improvement here is this. A little window will pop up and just ask you, do you want to reference this project? You can choose yes or no. Okay, so still informing you that it's not part of your current references, but it's giving you the option on the fly to just automatically reference it so that you can just continue with your work without wasting a lot of time. Okay, so again, a nice little improvement. From there, we've also made a change to the update display mode, and I'm talking about in the project tree, this thing right here. It has been identified as a factor that decreases performance. Okay, and let's go look at something live so that you guys can understand this. So I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to hop down into assemblies and go here. So this is what we're talking about is up here. The change on a new installation is that it is now set to do not show needed updates by default. So this is off. And what does that actually mean? Well, if I go in here and I make a change, 40, okay, and I hit save, this is clearly driving this family document, okay? But I don't know that that change has affected the family document because I have it turned off, okay? The only way to know how it's affected is to select either the root folder or the folder all the way at the top here and go to update, and you can see what's been affected by that change, okay? If I go up here and I turn on show all needed updates, you're gonna get this message now saying show the needed updates has an impact on performance. This can increase the calculation time to expand a folder in a project. Do you really want to continue? Say yes. Now, this is a dink little sample, so it was instantaneous, but for those of you that have built bigger assemblies in TopSolid and you have lots of references going all over the place, one little change can modify 50 documents. So if it's a performance increase you're looking for, you need to turn this off, okay? But now when you make a change to a lower level object, you need to remember to go and check what that change has affected with the update command, okay? Alrighty, so we can close that. I'm going to undo that because I don't need that. And go back to my little presentation here. All right, and then the last item here has to do with importing a package. From time to time, and again, if you're importing packages, or you're exporting packages and then importing packages, then exporting packages and importing packages, if things aren't checked in correctly, sometimes they get out of sync and it's impossible to re-import that package, okay? So there is a new option called forced copy. Now, I have to tell you, this option is turned off by default. It requires you to use the advanced mode of TopSolid, which, if you are not familiar with this, it is putting the -A in the shortcut argument to launch TopSolid. The reason why it's hidden by default is because forcing a copy while importing a package breaks the link to the existing data that's on your PDM. So yes, it gets the data in, but it's no longer associated back to the other project, okay? So this is kind of a last-ditch effort when you can't figure out how to get data that's out of sync back into your PDM, okay? Realistically, we made it for all of our support people, that when our customers send us packages and it's out of sync for some reason, maybe it's with libraries that we've helped them create or whatever, this allows us to still get the data in without waiting for you guys to resolve some issue on your side or us to resolve some issue on our side. So it's here, it's available, it's an advanced feature, okay? And I will do this really quick. I will minimize all just to show you. If I go to my argument or my TopSolid shortcut here, and I go to properties, the -A that I'm talking about, you go to the end here, space -A, then it will be available once you launch TopSolid. Okay, so it's just so you know how to do it. Again, just a warning, when you force it to import as a copy, it will not update the existing project. It's a last-ditch effort to try to synchronize data. Okay. Oops, and I think I built my presentation somehow. There we go. Alrighty. So, with that said, I believe. All right, I got out of sequence with that. My bad. Let's go back to this. With that said, at the end of this first webinar, I see there's some questions out there. Let me see if there's anything that needs answering directly. Cloud servers. Like we have. Looks like we have Joe answering everything. So does anyone have any questions directly that they want me to answer live? So go ahead and enter those into the question section and I'll do my best. Well, we have recordings of all of the webinars. Yes, as stated in the invitations that were sent out, and maybe it's not stated on the registration pages, all of the webinars are recorded and will be published on our YouTube channel and on the registration site by next week. So there's a question here about shared PDM options. We have 2 sites. So it is possible to have multiple PDMs and multiple PDM servers thanks to a software called TopSolid PDM Multisite. So TopSolid PDM Multisite came out last year, and what it does is it automatically mirrors the main PDM to additional sites. So there's nothing for the user to do but work like they normally work, and the PDM manages the data in the background between all the sites. If you're curious about this and the costs behind it, just reach out to Mike in sales and he can talk to you about it. Any other questions? All right, so the next webinar, just if you're not aware, is regarding TopSolid design. It's going to start at 11 a.m. Central Daylight, so in about roughly an hour and a half. I believe we're going to be going over sketcher, shape, surfaces, things like that in that webinar. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and thanks for attending this first webinar this morning.